How do I own up to a mistake? Welcome to Perfection's Antidote. I'm Belinda Brummer.
And I'm Tracy Kites.
We're on a mission to help you navigate the situations you might find yourself in at work. In each episode, we'll bring you
one question,
2 perspectives,
3 takeaways. Our aim here is to keep it real, simple, filter-free.
If you enjoy learning tools that help you lead and work better, subscribe to this podcast and please do leave a review. If you have any questions for the show, please send them to us. You'll find a link about how to do this in the show notes.
So today, Belinda, we've got a question from Clive. He's in Dundee and he says he works for one of the major telecoms companies in the UK and his team works across various client sites. So Clive has said that he's realised that a decision he made last quarter was a mistake and it's starting to impact our results. How do I own up to this error, both to my team and my superiors, without losing their confidence in my leadership? So essentially, Clive is asking how he owns up to a mistake that's clearly impacting the bottom line, which is obviously quite serious.
Tracy, I love this question because it is what real leaders step up to.
Yeah.
It's easy. I don't want to know that's wrong. It's not easy, but it's great being a leader when everything's going great and we're trying to inspire people to do things. But what happens when leaders make mistakes? Leaders don't do the right thing all the time. And what happens then? And I think this is just such a great moment for leadership to happen, in particular for Clive to role model what he would like his team to do in these kind of situations. And whatever that may be, personally, I would want people to alert the organization that something has gone awry, something is not right, alert people, understand what has happened and seek to do that, to really respond then to what is going on, to go through a process of reflection, both with others, the people who are affected, but equally self-reflection on how did I land here, how did I make that mistake, and then to learn and grow from that. And teams can grow from that, the organization can grow from that. But for the leader to be really visible about how they grow from that, I think this is just a wonderful opportunity for Clive to be the leader that he wants to be.
Agreed. I felt the same. And certainly, you know, as leaders, we have to behave in the way that we want our teams to behave. I always say that the leader is a mirror of the team. So this is a really good opportunity, but Clive's going to have to be courageous. Being a leader is a situation where we have to be courageous at times. And as you say, nobody said this would be easy. So I think the one piece of theory that jumps out at me from this is, in order to own up to a mistake, you have to have psychological safety in your team. The researcher Amy Edmondson came up with the term psychological safety in the 1990s, but there's a lot of it about currently in the leadership literature. So psychological safety is a bit like trust, only in a group environment. So it means that you've created a culture as an organisation where people can speak up without fear of retribution, humiliation, punishment, or being treated differently because they've spoken up about something.
Can I ask you, Tracy, why has psychological safety become such a buzzword? Because it's really easy to ignore things that become such hot topics.
Yes.
Why has it sprung up like this?
I don't know, given that Amy Edmondson talked about it as far back as the 1990s. But maybe sometimes concepts or language take a little time to filter down into our everyday workspaces. And I think that's what's happened here. What I've noticed is a lot of organisations talk about it, but it's not so easy to implement. And it's quite damaging to say, yeah, sure, we'll have psychological safety, and then you beat somebody up when they do own up to a mistake or speak out about something that they're worried about. So it's got to be genuine, because being disingenuous about it, I think, is worse than not having it at all. And I think everyone finds it easier to say, oh my goodness, I've made this mistake, if they know that that's going to be not glossed over or fluffed about with. Of course, it's going to be taken seriously However, it's going to be taken constructively rather than destructively.
And I think something that really supports that is the notion of having a culture of learning that doesn't necessarily tolerate mistakes, but that allows mistakes and the learning to come from those mistakes. There was a time early in the 2000s as tech and the tech industry got going that everybody just wanted to break things, and there was the sense of, we can break it and it's okay, and we just keep moving, and everybody can make mistakes, and we've just got to all be okay with that. And that led people into this false sense of, well, we have a culture where we can make mistakes, but actually you can't, because then the reality of corporate world asserted itself, and people realized, oh, actually I can't make a mistake here. This is a culture actually where I can't make mistakes. And that is not about having a culture where you can't make mistakes. It's about having a culture that silences people from admitting that they make mistakes, and then not having the supporting culture that enables people to learn from those mistakes. And that's where reflections and project post-mortems come in, where you sit and you have a look at what went well and what didn't go well in a project, and really picking that apart and learning from that and growing from that. And I think that really supports the psychological safety and what it takes to have that kind of an environment. And it is a focus on learning, but equally on courage, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that's the corporate view of this problem. I think the personal view of this problem is that as leaders, we need to have a level of honesty and a level of humility. So I think humility for me is around acknowledging that as humans, we're fallible and we do sometimes make mistakes, and we're never going to get it right all the time as hard as we work, as hard as we try, things happen. And I think what falls out of humility is a level of humanness where we can admit to ourselves, wow, that was a cracker of a mistake, but what am I going to do about it now? So the first thing is, I'm going to be honest about it. I'm going to own up. So who do I need to own up to? Who do I need to admit that to? Is it my team? Is it my line manager? Is it someone else, or is it all of the above? And then what do I do about it? And I think humility kicks in when we admit to the mistake and we go with some solutions, some ideas around how we think we can rectify it. And I think that feeds into your point about learning as well. So it's about reflecting on, what am I going to do now? What do I think are the possibilities here to go back on this? Because if we don't do our admission of making a mistake followed through with some suggestions on what we might do, all we're doing is going, oh, I've made a problem, dump it in someone else's lap. And that's not leadership behaviour. No. It's about saying, I'm the leader here. How do I say what needs to be said? Who do I say that to? What are the options here? And then leave ourselves open to considering that other people might have other options that they need to throw into the mix so that we can all move forwards and take the right course to rectify things.
And that's about cooperating with people and collaborating with people and solving what come out of having made that mistake, or recrafting the solution, whatever that may be. I want to add to that. I think it's great to start with humility, because that's your mindset. How am I approaching this? So courage, humility, collaboration on the problem. I would say at a really practical level, call it out as soon as you see it. The temptation is to delay and hope nobody's going to see it and nobody's going to spot it. And the worst thing you can do is to leave it and hope nobody sees it, or that it will just play itself out. And part of me wants to say, well, sometimes that's okay. I think you're taking risks by doing that. I don't think you're necessarily leading in the way that you want others to behave. You want to know if something has gone wrong or somebody has made a mistake. And so I'd say you want to really step up with that. And the reason you really want to be focused on this is it gives you more time to fix it, to identify what has happened, fix the issues that have come out of the mistake or as a result of the mistake. And then really importantly, don't wait for somebody else to spot the problem. Because then what you're doing is you're admitting to something that somebody else has seen, rather than leading and saying, I have made a mistake. This is what I have noticed. This is what I have observed, and being in control of that. And I think the leadership way of doing that is to lead rather than to be led in that situation. As I've said right at the beginning of this conversation, it's great being a leader when it's all about inspiration and motivation and all of that good stuff, but real leadership happens when it's not going well. And how do you want to rise to this occasion?
Agreed. And one last thing that I'll add to that, and clearly we're here to talk about leadership and our job and the role that we do in the work that we deliver. But there is a human consequence of not owning up as well, and that is your stress levels will rise. You'll likely worry about it outside of work. You might not sleep. You might get really exhausted by it. And if this is a big mistake, own up to it as soon as you can, because of course there are all of those work-based things that you need to think about, but on a personal level, you need to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself is not hiding it. It's facing it head on and dealing with it.
And these things, even these little things, have a way of, lasting longer than even the company that you were working with when you made the mistake.
Yeah.
Or the role that you were in. These emotions stay with you, and those memories stay with you and affect you. The question we've pondered here was, how do I own up to a mistake? Now, your power of 3. Address the mistake promptly. Don't delay or hope no one notices. Call it out as soon as you see it. This gives you more time to fix the issue and allows you to control the narrative rather than waiting for someone else to spot the problem. Also, consider carefully who you need to tell and how you tell them. Approach the situation with humility and honesty. Acknowledge that as humans, we're fallible and sometimes make mistakes. Be upfront about the error, but also come prepared with potential solutions or ideas on how to rectify it. This shows leadership and proactive problem solving. Use this as an opportunity to model the behavior you want to see in your team, showing how to learn and grow from mistakes. Did something we talk about spark something in you? An idea or a memory? Please share it with us in the comments below. Follow us. We're real and unfiltered. This show is brought to you by, us. Tracy Kite is a leadership and management development specialist, executive coach, and author of Lead Like You Give an F. And I'm the founder of Boost Learning, a boutique ecosystem that nurtures better managers and leaders. I also help organizations amplify their culture, train their people, and build better community connections through podcasting.